Hi, good evening. Running a little late tonight, some technical difficulties, but we're here. Um, so we're just going to get started. What do you have to update us on tonight?
Not much. Been gone for a couple weeks, I guess. So you had a conflict. I had a conflict. Just waiting on Leo video right now. That's I think the big thing. Although we are in July, so maybe Leo AI this month. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll see.
And Andersino got me up to the top of the board there for the threadcast. He's got some. There's few questions. You want to just right away?
Sure, we can do that.
Okay. Um, yes. These are just okay. Oh, he asked me what was my favorite part of Leo Glossary. I told him it was the music part. Okay. Oh, will Leo Shorts become a part of Leo Glossary? These are all from Andersino.
um, no, they don't really have anything to do with each other. Leo Shorts is. I mean, Leo Glossary is a long form content basis, and Leo Shorts is, from what I understand, going to be directly into Thread. So they don't overlap at all. Um,
Okay.
they're really not tied to Leo Glossary. And I mean, Leo Glossary is obviously feeding Leo AI, but I'm wondering, what the validity of Leo Glossary is with with Leo AI. I mean, that's a question that we'll have to wait and see. But you might be able to get the information directly from Leo AI, which would be good too.
Mm-hmm. And then his next question is, what feature does Leo Glossary look for next on in Leo?
Well, there's really not any features. I mean, Leo Glossary, if we were going to do it right, we would have to set up its own web page, uh, or have it something built into Leo in Leo. But I mean, neither of those. And until we see what Leo AI, I mean, Leo AI is supposed to have search. It's impossible to find anything on Hive. That's the problem. And you can use Leo Linker. That's about the best way. You just type in, what you're looking for, and if it has a page, then it'll pull it up. But it's just very. The fact is, I mean, Google doesn't index stuff on Hive very well, and it just makes it very difficult to find anything. Once you hit the submit button, after it's rolls off the screen for a day or so, it's gone. And I mean, you just can't really find stuff, and it's unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. And hopefully, Leo AI will resolve some of that.
That'd be great. Another question from Andersino. Will there be a Threadcast plus Threadcast in space in the future for Leo Glossary under its main account? Every week there could be a specific topic which users could add information to, which in the end could be an entry in the glossary.
I mean, I don't have any plans of that. I mean, it's um, I mean, first off, Leo Glossary, the main account is in premium anyway. So doing a threadcast outside of premium is pretty much a waste of time because it gets buried. uh, so, and as you found out, you can't do two threadcasts under the same account because the second threadcast overrides the first threadcast. You'll have two icons, but they'll both be linked to the same threadcast. So
Uh huh.
you either have to do that out of two accounts or just post it out of one. And I mean, I use two accounts on Fridays because I got the finance threadcast, and I have, of course, the Lions Den. But
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't see any reason to do a Spaces on Leo Glossary per se at this point in time. I mean, Leo Glossary is really I'm looking to see what Leo AI brings. I mean, Leo AI may, quite honestly, make Leo Glossary not necessarily redundant, but it takes it trains on the data, so it's like it's all in Leo AI.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I mean, it kind of from a glossary standpoint, it kind of made it just changed search. These AI, these language models are changing search completely, I think. So we'll have to see what Leo AI has. And I mean, Leo AI may, you type in derivatives, you may get an explanation on Leo AI that, you know, you don't need to
Mm-hmm.
go to the derivatives page on Leo Glossary. It's just not necessary.
Okay, and then can you just talk briefly about the experiment it might possibly did with Claude AI and Hive?
Quad AI. I don't know what quad.
Claude.
Oh, Claude.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what he's referring to. I think what he's referring to is this morning. What he did is he asked Claude AI, Claude, yeah, he asked Claude about Hive, the the Hive blockchain, and what is it? What can it do? How can it be improved? What challenges does it have? And he ended up posting that all in the finance threadcast. And he posted one thread, and it was a thread storm. And it ended up having like 26 threads underneath, and
Wow.
it was all AI generated. And basically, it just gave off different ideas and different ways to maybe alter things and change things and adapt them and improve the DHF and things of that nature. And that's really what I mean. There's two uses that I see for this. Is the first thing is to improve our knowledge. I mean, we can get we can ask these AI these questions and they can spit it back because you think about it, the AI has access to a lot more knowledge than any of us as individuals. And so that's a benefit. And then the second benefit is he posted it on threads. So that's already in Leo AI now. Whatever information is in there, if it wasn't in there already, and I don't know, I'm going to presume they're using Leo AI is using ChatGPT, but I don't know. But maybe it doesn't have the info, all the info that Claude has. I don't know. But either way, it's guaranteed to be in there because he took what Claude gave him and he posted it in threads. And so now it's part of Leo AI. And that's one way where we can just keep adding more data is to use these tools to get information to try to look at things a different way, but also as we're doing these prompts, we'll take it and copy and put it in threads because why not? If you get the
Right.
information, it's like, well, okay, if I hit the copy in Claude or the copy button on my chatbot and paste it in, and I might have to break it up over a number of different threads, which I did that a couple of times today. But I mean, I wrote something on distributed computing and distributed infrastructure, excuse me, and inference and all that stuff. And that's basically how I got the information. So I mean, this is this is really powerful stuff in terms of content creation, content discovery, content understanding, and accessing knowledge. And if you read through the posts that might possibly put up, a lot of it makes sense. So it's these LLMs, sometimes these chatbots, the information they can give is pretty pretty iffy, but that one isn't. Or on this in this instance.
So it's a thread storm what he did with that.
Basically, yeah, he went into the technology threadcast and he put
Mm-hmm.
up first, he put up a thread and then everything underneath, he just answered that thread, which so he was underneath the threadcast and he had one thread with 25 or 26 threads following it underneath his one thread. So
Okay.
essentially, it's a thread storm within the threadcast is what he built. He didn't title it thread storm. He didn't use the hashtag,
Right.
but that's essentially what he did. Is he just put up a thread and answered himself 20, 25, or 26 times. Uh,
Okay.
and that's what, as I said, with the distributed computer, I didn't have 26. I might have had 10 or something. But I went back a couple different times and asked it more questions and that type of stuff. And that's how you get more data going. And data is very important, especially if it's data tied to certain subjects and very specific stuff. I mean, a lot of data like "Good morning, how you doing" is pretty worthless, but
Mhm.
data like you know who were the Bee Gees. I mean, that's worthwhile data, or who is Abraham Lincoln. I mean, that stuff like that is. I mean, I think on Hive, or excuse me, on Leo, I think people should be posting like extremely local or not so well known information about their local area, about their state, their province, their city, their town, whatever. Um, stuff that may have been in the local paper, but that's it. If you write something up about a local church or a local school or a local war hero or whatever, that's stuff that the large language model may not pick up on because they're not trained on that. But you do that. Uh, who was Margaret Winslow? Well, Margaret Winslow was you know a heroine in Topeka, Kansas in the 1800s who did this, and this. And it's like she doesn't have a Wikipedia page. She doesn't have any of that stuff. It just somebody who was from that area, knew the legend of whatever I just said, Margaret Winslow, and put
Uh,
a threadcast or thread storm together about Margaret Winslow. Now it's in Leo AI. So I mean, you think about all the stuff that you could do there. I mean, you don't want to do it because it's public. I mean, unless you don't care, but people could do that about their families or whatever. I mean, you could do that about your local company, a local plumbing company. Bob's Plumbing in Topeka, Kansas was established in 1962 by, Bob Theodore and, you know, him and his two sons and, whatever the history is of these things, you can put that in there. Now that's part of the small language model. I mean,
yeah, I went to. Go ahead. Sorry.
that's the value of threads. You can put all that data in there, and it's like, what is Hunter's Creek? Well, Hunter's Creek may be a creek that is just in your town that, feeds into Fleischer's Pond. Fleischer used to be some dude 70 years ago who owned the property that the pond was on that the kids used to swim in and ice skate in, and Hunter's Creek feeds into it, and you used to play in it. And, I mean, it's just that localized stuff is ideal for threads because that's probably not going to be picked up anywhere.
Yeah, probably not. Well, today I went to a Mexican restaurant that I hadn't been to in God knows how since I was a teenager, and I knew like it was in a different place than it used to be. And like I tried asking the server, she was pretty young. I asked her, where they used to be, and she's like, I don't know, I don't speak English. I'm like, okay, so I guess I'll have to try and figure out because the building we were in they have it in now used to be a bakery, and I
Mhm.
remembered that. But yeah, it's that kind of
Yeah,
local history.
yeah, yeah, and that's one thing where that's where blockchain is so valuable because once that history's there, it can't be removed. And we know with the rewriting of history, and in fact, I wrote an article about it. One of the biggest values of Hive is the democratization of data. And the fact is, we have a permissionless database that anybody can set up an API and pull the data. But MTV is now owned by Paramount, and they shut down MTV News. They just eliminated it, probably in a cost saving measure. They just took it down. Now, MTV News was up there for 30 years, 40 years, whatever it is. All those articles and all that content is now gone. It's history.
Wow.
It's wiped out, and it's no longer on the internet. They killed it. Now, I've talked to Mike possibly, and if you've ever used archive.ph, that's a very handy site for um, archival, because you could take an article from anywhere, from New York Times, from Wall Street Journal, from Yahoo News, from your local online paper, and you can take it and you can put it in the URL in there and submit it, and it will scan it in digitally, and then it's part of the archival. Now, the problem is, I presume, I don't know, I've never looked into Archive PH, but I presume it's all on centralized stuff. If that's the case, then of course that could be ultimately wiped out. But if we had something like that on blockchain, where articles were just submitted to Hive and they're just printed on the blockchain, those articles are there and they never disappear.
Yeah, you were showing me that because my local newspaper's on a paywall. There's a
Yeah,
paywall.
well, and it also gets around those paywalls too. It's good for that in many instances, because it's able to scan through and pull the data and then gives you the information. So it's good for that. Never have to pay for a subscription again. Granted, you have to go and submit every article you want to read, and it takes like 3 or 4 minutes for it to scan through. But if it's like a New York Times or Wall Street Journal, you submit the URL, it's probably already in there. But your local your local paper, maybe not. But I mean, these are things that, again, people need to think outside the box, and we unfortunately don't have enough people thinking outside the box, because I don't believe people understand technology anyway. They don't understand where it's going, and they're stuck so stuck in this Web 2 world, not realizing you got so much stuff going in so many different directions that, I mean, if we're talking distributed infrastructure, what the hell does that mean? That means you're dealing with many different networks. That's why it's distributed. And what does that mean? Well, that means you're not dealing with the same Yahoos you were dealing with in the past.
That's a good thing.
I
This is
think
another. This is another one from Andersino. Have you gotten any other language communities to join in to start translating the current stuff in it?
no, I mean, it's first off, languages are translation. Again, if you're following what's going on with these large language models, ChatGPT 4.0, they haven't made it live, but I mean that's just killing all translation. And I mean, I talk all the time with Coyote Lation. He doesn't speak much English, and he goes and he just takes what I write, puts it in Portuguese, and then answers in English. So there's plenty of tools out there that are already converting that. And ChatGPT 4.0, supposedly you could speak in one language, I could be speaking another, and we'll just go back and forth in our native languages.
That sounds like what my father used to do with his grandmother. He spoke to her in English and she answered him in Italian.
Yeah, well, you get that too, but the difference is they both spoke those languages, or at least understood it, and this will be a situation where neither one speaks the other language, but it'll be translated in their ear into. They won't hear the English; they'll hear the Italian, and they'll reply in Italian, but it'll come through on the other one in English. So, I mean that's they're again, the last 18 months changed, 19 months, whatever it's been since ChatGPT 3 went on the market. Disruption is happening all over the place. You have to question everything, because anything you were planning in the digital world is no longer is no, I don't want to say it's no longer valid. Potentially, it's no longer valid, and you have to start questioning: how do I get messed up by this? How does what I'm working on get messed up by this? And more importantly, how can I use this to my advantage? And Um, right now, people on Leo should be focusing getting as much data onto into threads as possible. I mean, you can do it in blog posts too, but with threads, you can put different tidbits in there. Get as much stuff in there as you can. If you got an obscure recipe, you know, how to make, you know, catfish flambe or something, um, you put it on there because if it's not anything that's obscure, you can feed that in. I mean, there's just so much information that maybe you have personal knowledge about that different data, different things that some local who's you watch this mayor. Maybe you know who the old mayor was or city council person and their birth date or whatever. This is all the stuff that can go in there that could really add to it. And um, I mean, I don't know what Leo AI looks like, but I do know what these large language models look like. And I have read enough. I've never used a small language model, but I have read enough of how they're trained on the company's data and how that spits out very personalized answers, based upon the company.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we want on Leo. Now, of course, you can talk about Leo stuff. You can talk about what's going on with that. But it even goes beyond that because how valuable is that database going to be? And this is not only for America, but we should be feeding this stuff with stuff from India and Nigeria and Qatar and Malaysia, and all of that should be fed in.
So, if I'm understanding, a small language model is like more narrowly focused on a specific area.
Yeah, a large language model is basically Cal summed it up best. It's trained on the internet. So they take whatever they can scrape, which is getting less and less because entities are locking it down. So now, like
Mhm.
OpenAI is cutting all these deals with Time Magazine and all these other entities, Reddit, to get access to their data. And so what you have is you have these large language models that take all this data and run them through the neural networks. And this is what OpenAI does with ChatGPT. It's what Google does with Gemini. It's what Meta does with Facebook and Instagram and all that shit. And it's what Anthropic is doing for Claude, whatever the hell they're training that on. I don't even know. And so that's basically trained on just the information it could scrape from the internet. And most of that probably is tied to stuff that was indexed by Google. So threads are not in these language models because threads aren't indexed. Um, you know, you might get some other stuff that isn't indexed. You might get stuff that's not even looked at. So this is where the small language model, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, is what Leo AI is. It takes the large language model, and again, I'm going to presume it's ChatGPT. And
Mhm.
what they do is they feed it threads. They feed it Hive. They feed it the Hive database is what they're doing, which of course threads are in there as comments. And not only is it just threads, it's also any Hive comment is part of it. Anything that's in the Hive database is fed in there. And so now you have this information that's fed into the neural network that when you, not in the neural network, excuse me, in the AI. So now when you go to prompt through Leo AI and you ask, who is Lisa M. Gentile 1961, it'll spit it out. Whereas if I go ask ChatGPT, it may or may not know who you are. It might have some idea because it maybe got some of the stuff off Hive, but it didn't get all of it. Um, Cal said with this, you're going to even be able to ask, well, which of my posts did Leo Finance upvote the most, or which of my posts got the most upvotes by number, not by rewards, things of that nature. And so, anything that the blockchain does is being fed into this and trained. So that's why when you start to put stuff in threads, even if it's like the birth date of, again, some local legend and the name, well, then it's there. So it will be in Leo AI, and it might not be in Claude. In fact, it won't be in Claude. It won't be in Gemini. It won't be in these other ones because it's not even seeing them. But Leo AI is, because you're feeding it through threads. And that's what a small language model is here we're using threads. ABC company may have years of billing data and estimates that they've done, and proposals they've done, and supplier cost data that they have, and invoices, and all this stuff, warehouse information, employee information. And they may want to feed all that in, so it could help with their bidding process. It could help with establishing marketing. It could help to establish trends. All this other stuff. The accounting information.
Logistics.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, logistics, whatever applies. Different markets. What products are they making the most money off of? They can just ask the AI and should we keep this product? What are the profit margins? What is it costing us? What's the ROI? Would be better off dumping it and putting the money elsewhere. These are things that you can ask it because it's on that specific data. Um, you can't take that for ABC company and go ask ChatGPT. It probably doesn't even know who ABC company is.
And go, what?
Yeah, it's like, I don't have that information. And then, of course, some of them you look at it and it's like, well, I only go up to the end of 2023, so I don't have anything more recent than that. Obviously, with the SLM, they want the most recent pricing. They want if a supplier changed the price this morning, they want that in there the second it hits their database. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's where it's being fine tuned.
Okay. Is there any what is the next step in Leo Glossary, or is it just to keep expanding?
Well, it would be expanded, except I don't know where it's going. I mean, we again, until I see Leo AI, there's
Mm-hmm.
really not much sense to expand Leo Glossary. If it all ends up in the AI anyway, might as well just post stuff on threads. Just keep feeding
Right.
threads and put it in there, because people will be able to search Leo AI and get the information right from Leo threads. Um, I mean, Andersino could have, I mean, not Andersino, Mike possibly could have done what he did with Hype and done it in a post. I mean, he would have gotten crucified because it was an AI generated post. But, he put it in threads. Well, the information's in Leo, Leo AI. It's being trained. So, again, I mean, what's the point of dealing with blog posts if you can use threads?
That makes sense.
And it doesn't even have to be in any chronological order, because if you type in Leo AI, let's say, uh, what is Leo Dex? I mean, I could have wrote 30 threads over 30 different days, and it'll pull the information from those 30 threads and it'll assimilate it in the answer. So, I mean, it's not like I have to take it and put it in a blog post that makes sense. It's just, okay, here's the information, here's the drips and drabs.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah.
Another from Andersino. Is there any other front end or project on Hive that has taken advantage of Leo Glossary so far?
No, there was one that was trying to do it. They designed a whole wiki UI, um, and that went nowhere. Not surprisingly. So no, it's you're not going to get people thinking in those terms. Few people look at Hive as a database.
And what do they look at it at?
Social media network.
Mm.
That's why they're all trying to out there market Hive like it's some social media network, and it's like, what are you people talking about? You don't even have any services. So, you know,
Why have some why have someone downvoted the @Leo Glossary account so it has a negative rep? Feels kind of silly since it declines rewards.
yeah, that was Marky because he felt, I guess he was tired of seeing it. So, it's again, you get into the Hive mindset, and it's like this is the problem with decentralization is. Uh, you have people who, even if they're smart people, they what they do makes no sense because they may not have all the information. And people complain about, people like Mark Zuckerberg. Well, the thing about Mark Zuckerberg, first off, is he's very successful. I mean, maybe a slime ball, but he's very successful. And he may give autonomy to people, but they're operating within the parameters of what he says. And they're not. None of his employees are running around bashing Facebook or Meta. I mean, they can't. They'd be sued. They'd be fired and then sued. Um, but with something like Hive, anybody can say anything they want. And jackasses don't even realize, well, you're training the AI, dumbasses.
Goodness. And this is the one from Liquid Eye. This one is aimed at the Americas. 8 p.m. Eastern Time is the middle of the night for Europe and Africa. Yeah, we can't hit every time zone. Sorry.
Yeah, that's not our fault. And it's like 9 a.m. in Australia. So, you know, what can we tell you? I mean, that's the way it goes. And then when we do it, like Bradley was complaining about, he said, "Can you push anything every spaces past 4:30 so I can participate?" It's like, well, we do that, then you start getting in trouble with Nigerians and the Europeans, and
Yeah, that's just it. You can't cover everyone.
no, you can't go into these time zones and cover it. But anyway, that's one of the reasons why I set up this technology threadcast because, and I threaded this a couple of times today. If you don't understand technology, you're clueless as to what's going on. And I'm dead serious about that. And I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm not trying to be disparaging. That's just a reality. It's like,
Hmm.
and I'm not talking technical. I mean, obviously, if you can understand technical, that's wonderful. Great for you. I mean, I'm not a technical person, but you better understand technological trends. You better understand where this stuff's going. And from what I see from the Web3 community, they don't have a single clue. And I mean, I see it all over the place. And as I said, since ChatGPT came out, everything changed, or everything is subject to change. And you better ask what the hell is going on. And most people are oblivious to it. And they're going to get run over by it. And I am convinced of that. And
Well, the fact that they're not embracing the AI. They're not like saying, they're just like, you can't have anything AI. Like you can't
well,
have
that's just Hive, and that's just the Hive. Oh, our precious reward pool. The Hive argument is easy to overcome. Just get numbers. If we had 150,000 threads a day, they can't say shit. We'd just be overwhelming them. It's like, okay, downvote all you want. How are you going to downvote that many threads? You can't. How are you going to see that many threads? You can't. And so, I mean, that's just really what it comes down to. And if you start getting people who are just putting more and more data in there, I mean, it just gets overwhelming to the point where, I mean, the numbers just it just it's like anything else. It's like when they try to storm the palace. Yeah, the palace is strong. It's fortified. It's made out of cement. It's high up, but you got enough people storming it. they could eventually, if you get enough people pushing, they'll push the damn palace over. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's we see this throughout history. It it's very common. I mean, what happens during riots? Well, I mean, the cops can't control everybody. I mean, the cops are just overwhelmed in terms of numbers, and that's what it comes down to. It's like if people would understand that and just overwhelm the system, get the data flowing in such a way that was just astronomical, then and the great thing about threads is I mean, you could take the same damn thing and make 3 threads out of it. I mean, you could take a photo, a picture of your dinner, post it in the main section, copy it into the foodie section, copy it into the photo threadcast. You could have it, and there's 3 threads right there. And then rethread it a day later if you want. Hell, I could do that with your dinner. I don't even need to take my own picture. I can take your picture of your dinner that you posted, grab it, put it in the foodie, put it in the photo, and I can rethread it. I mean, you don't even need to create your own damn content.
Well, this today I just rethreaded all the threadcasts. It's like I just shared all the threadcasts.
Well, I mean that they're at the top of the page, so that gets kind of. I mean, it's it's okay, but it's kind of. I don't know. I don't know if it does much, but if you come across something like a nice picture or something that's interesting, then do it. But I mean, like the same piece of news, if it's in the sports threadcast, it can go in the news threadcast. I mean, presuming unless it's just like, what time's the game today. But if it's like an article, so and so signed a contract with such and such a team, you put it in the sports, you can drop it right into the other. Boom, there's a 2-for-1. Just little things like that add up, that just over time put more and more numbers together.
Well, the travel threadcast and the photographer threadcast.
Yeah, if you take a picture when you're on a trip, or you take a picture when you're around town, or you take a picture of something maybe historic in your town that people come and visit, or it's whatever, a hotel in your town or whatever. And I mean, yeah, that could easily go in both. Boom, right there, the threefer. I mean, it's just, this stuff's so easy. It's so simple. And photos aren't necessarily the best thing for the AI, but I mean, it's something you can do for engagement. You can do for sharing. I mean, I said that the photocast, people should use it like Instagram. I mean, people are on Instagram posting photos all day. Why aren't you in the threadcast posting photos? I mean, if you're one who takes photos on Instagram all day. I mean, people are taking Instagram photos, billions of them showing up every day. Maybe not billions, but anyway, there's, a ton of photos going on Instagram every day. It's like, you can do the same thing here. No, it's no harder. I mean, I don't know. I've never used Instagram, but it's no harder. You just on your phone, once you're logged in, you just go to the photo cache. You just go and pick Sergio's icon and open it up, and then just open up, go to the thread, enter photo, put it in your photo, type in whatever the hell you want. And if you want to tag it and hit submit. Boom, there it is.
Yeah, I'd probably be one to just take it on my on my phone and come back and load it up on the computer.
Well, I mean, whatever people do, we know there's millions and millions and millions of this stuff happening a day. And the difference is, why aren't people doing it on threads? Because they're not committed. They're Web 2 people. It's that plain and simple. Now, what are you getting out of Instagram? What are you getting out of Twitter? What are you getting out of Facebook? And maybe there's some things you post on Facebook because you want to stay in touch with your grandmother or whatever. Okay, fine. I understand that. But if you post it on Instagram, post it on on Threads too. Who cares?
Yeah, 'cause it's not going to be like duplicate. Well, it's going to be just repurpose content. Repurpose it
Well,
from.
yeah, you're uploading it twice. You're uploading it to two different areas, but you can't take Instagram really. And I guess you technically could put the link in, but either way, it's just not that big a deal. But then again, I would question why the fuck are you using Instagram? What are you getting out of it? No.
No, they're getting the ones who own it are the ones getting the money or whatever it
Well, you're
is.
feeding Zuckerberg. People in Web3 piss and moan about Zuckerberg, yet they're using Instagram. They piss and moan about Elon, yet they're all over Twitter. Oh, we have to market. Yeah, how's that working? Once again, another month goes by, 6 months into 2024. How's the marketing? How's the user base going? Oh, not go so good. We need a different marketing message. It's not working. Yeah. You don't have one, morons.
No, you need something here for people to stay with.
You need something, you need a service. You need something for people to use. That's it. There's nothing for people to use. Now there's some services being built. Okay, fine.
When you're talking about services, you're talking about apps, yes?
Yeah, something for people to do. Where do people go get their information? Where do they go get their entertainment? Where do they go get their music? Where do they go get their video? Where do they go make their payments?
Where do they advertise?
Where do they get they swap their crypto? Where do they do commerce? Where do they do their shopping? These are services. This is what Leo and Hive need to provide, and we don't provide any of it. People say, "Oh, well, we'll bring them over from Twitter for what?" There's no news. I mean, we're starting it with Get It Now, but before I start news on Leo, it's like, well, if you want to know what's going on in the world, go over to X. Well, if you're going to come over from X to Threads and then have to go back to get their news, you think they're going to come back? They'll just go back to Twitter.
Right.
But I mean, I learned long ago, everybody thinks they're a marketing expert. Everybody thinks they know how to market it. I learned that not long after I got out of school. And it's no different 30 plus years later, same thing. Oh, well, we know what we're doing. We're marketing. You don't even have a unique proposition. What makes you different?
Why are they going to come here? Why are they going to stay?
Yeah, well, what are you even trying to pitch? What are you even trying to promote? I mean, but again, nobody asked me, so they just, I'm on my own island, and it's like, okay, well, one of these days I'll say, okay, how many years do we have? If we reach 10 years, you guys going to fucking admit that you failed and shut the fuck up? Oh.
What do we have coming up this week? We have Lions Den on Friday, and are there any other?
Oh, you got the AMA tomorrow. You got Chain Chatter on Wednesday. You have the marketing project marketing call on Thursday, and then Lions Den on Friday. Now, I don't know if there's anything else additional there that somebody's going to do, but
and Chain Chatter, what's that? That's just about.
That's one that Cal and Eric kind of invite people from the blockchain world and get guests on. I didn't listen to it initially, but the last couple of weeks I've tuned in. They had Vaultec on last week, but they've had people from Mayan, so it's kind of interesting. They're making some contacts, so if they don't have a guest, it's just Eric and Cal talking, basically Leo. which that'll be interesting considering you got the AMA and on Tuesday and the marketing on Thursday. If there's no guest, what do they talk about on Chain Chatter? I don't know, but we'll have to see.
Okay. So if we don't have anything else, it was nice to see comments and questions in the threadcast. So now I have to remember I can only do like one threadcast on one account, and then
Yep, it's kind of a it's kind of a glitch, but it's not really. I don't think it's not a glitch because you wouldn't want to see me up there 9 times with 9 different threadcasts. That would be also stupid. So I don't think it's really a bad idea to have one threadcast limit.
yeah, it kind of makes sense.
Yep. I mean, you know they're only good for 12 hours, so I mean you could put one up. I guess technically first thing in the morning, then 12 hours later throw up another one under the same account after the first one disappears, and you know you start that threadcast overnight. I mean, depending on what you're trying to do. But the threadcasts need work, but right now we just need to get some consistency and get people setting them up on a daily basis. And you know, you set up the one for motivation, and I mean that's one that you know can show up on a daily basis because it's there's enough stuff out there. You can always find motivational quotes, and
Mhm.
again, you take a quote, put it in there in a thread, typed in. Well, now you got the quote. It's in the database. Odds are it would have been anyway, because you're probably scraping it off Google, but you never know. I mean, quotes could be from anywhere.
Yeah, there sure is a lot of motivational stuff out there, all kinds of it.
You got motivational quotes, you got motivational videos. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, YouTube is a gold mine where just grab the damn URL to a Tony Robbins speech or a Brian Tracy speech or a you know
Les Brown.
whoever. Yeah, Les Brown. I mean, you know the Rocky theme song. It doesn't matter, and just drop that in there. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff with this stuff if you're kind of creative between video and audio. And I mean, you could put up a motivational podcast if there is one. I mean, you know, there's sports podcasts that could go into the sports one.
People just got to take the time to look for this stuff.
They're looking at it anyway. That's the point. They are all over social media looking at this shit. They're on YouTube all day long. They're on Twitter. They're on X. I've said so many times, if you see it on X, copy and paste it over to Threads.
Yeah, I mean,
Get a news
been
on
trying.
X, copy it, put it in Threads.
I've been trying to remember to take the documentaries I like watching, bring them over here to Leo, and then watching here on Leo.
Yeah, I do that with videos all the time. I'll drop it in there, then I'll right click and open it up in a new tab and just hit play. I don't ever watch them. Typically, I just listen to them. So, you know, it'll be playing in a tab on Leo, but it's on there. It's in there. And I'll take the title. I also tend to copy the title over from YouTube. So again, that'll help with the search because I don't think the search will really pick up that they're not going to pick up the just the videos. So if you just drop the link in the video, it's like, well, what does it say? Who knows? But if I drop in a link that says, okay, this is so and this is so and so's recipe for apple pie, at least that's in there. But you know, it's again, you could set up threadcasts. I mean, in the foodie, you could set up threadcasts of recipes. You could set up, I mean, not threadcasts. You could just do effectively thread storms of recipes. Put 6 recipes in there a day.
The possibilities are endless.
They really are. I mean, it's. YouTube has a bazillion hours of most any content except adult content. And there's probably adult content somewhere in there too. But it has a bazillion hours of everything under the sun. Every type of subject, hobby, topic you can think of. There's got to be YouTube videos and probably multiple YouTube videos about it. Just fucking post them. You know, there's 500 million tweets going a day. Grab some of them and post them if you're on Twitter. You know, Instagram, there's, I don't even know how many pictures on Instagram. Post them. You know, and again, if you want, just go to your search engine, Google or DuckDuckGo, and type in whatever, you know, steak or chicken cordon bleu, and take a picture and drop it in the foodie, even if it's just a generic picture. I mean, they're all over the place.
So they need to be here, here on
Well,
Leo.
it's you drop it in there, and it's like somebody will say, "Oh, that's very nice looking. That looks good." I mean, Bradley Arrow and I and somebody else went on to, I think we ended up with like 20. Bradley put in a comment, or I put in I think I put the comment in the foodie. We ended up with like 20 comments under that comment. It was on mac and cheese. And it wasn't even like homemade mac and cheese. It was like on whatever the Canadian version of Kraft is. You know, processed, put it in boiling water, and, you know, 7 minutes later, you got mac and cheese. And we had like 20 comments between the three of us back and forth on mac and cheese. Well, we're not talking fine dining here, mac and cheese.
Right? Then you add hot dogs.
We didn't even get to hot dogs. Maybe that's another one they add later, hot dogs. I mean, so, I mean, it's, yeah, I mean, it's 4th of July coming up. It's got to be hot dogs and hamburgers, chicken, and questions about what do you do on 4th of July and all this stuff. I mean, this can, it's like anything. If people use their brain for anything, you can come up with ideas just off the top of your head. I mean, I don't want to say I could fill any threadcast because some of them I don't know a lot about the topic.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you know, if I wanted to spend, I could do 200 foodie threads a day. It's not that hard. I mean, it'd take a while, copy paste, you know, that type of shit. But it could be done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I could find 200 motivational quotes for your motivation threadcast. In fact, maybe I'll do that one day. Just say, fuck it, throw in a bunch of motivational quotes. You know, I mean, we could have a history threadcast. How come we don't have a crypto threadcast? I mean, fuck, everybody wants to talk crypto, and, you know, put up a threadcast about crypto.
And then some of that could go into the technology.
Yeah, I mean, it could. I mean, it could. I mean, it's again, we should have 7,000 to 10,000 threads a day. There's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't, and we're nowhere near that. And it's because most people are saying, "Well, I want to try to do 20 threads." Are you fucking kidding? I do 20 threads in like shit. I do 20 threads in the morning, and I'm not even halfway through my notifications overnight. I mean, it's especially if you set up a thread cache, you end up getting a shitload of notifications because every time somebody posts something, it's in your notification. Well,
Right.
answer the damn thread. No, like, oh, that's an interesting story, or what the hell is that? But people don't want to be owners.
Yeah, I was going to do the motivation once a week, but yeah, I mean, doing it every day, there's so much out there.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing every day because, see, what happens is if the threadcast, there's two things that has to happen. First off is people have to be active with them. So you put it up there every day, you get the consistency going. People are used to seeing it up there. Then you can talk about it as a thread in the main section saying, I set up the motivational threadcast because of this, whatever. Throw some bullshit reason on it. And so you get people aware of it. And then when you see somebody in the latest section posting something motivational, you reply to it with a link. You say, this needs to go in the motivational threadcast. So cross post it. Here's the link. Get them accustomed to the fact that you have this. And you build it over time. Because what these really are is they're subreddits. When you think about it, that's what a topic-based threadcast is really just a subreddit. That's what Steemit was set up on.
I didn't really. If I knew that, I forgot about it.
Well, that's why was called Steemit, because it was based on Reddit. And it was supposed to be the same concept of you post this topic on an article and you get all this engagement underneath talking about it. Well, that's not really Reddit is, because Reddit is more post a link and that's it. And then they talk. That's really what Reddit mostly is about. But I mean, there are some conversations. Some people write Reddit posts, but you can do that with threads. Just post, copy and paste part of an article and put it there, and then a link to the rest of the article. And motivation. You can put a video up there. You can actually put the video if it's on YouTube. There's Tony Robbins giving a. I mean, like you said, Les Brown. And I know if you type in Les Brown into YouTube, you'll get hundreds of videos. I mean, hundreds of them. You'll get Les Brown videos that, I mean, he didn't even has nothing to do with him. They just took the video and put it in I mean, there's all kinds of motivation videos, that are just spliced together of different people saying different things. And yeah, I mean, there's so much you can do if you get creative with it. And that's a way to look at your threadcast as your own business, if you want, as your own Reddit, as your own domain. Anybody can come in and post. Obviously, you can't block people, you can't control it, but
right.
Yeah, you can set targets and build it and say, I want to grow this, and do it every day. I asked Winanda, I said, what's your goal for the comments for this month in the foodie section? She said, we 3,100 a day. I said, okay, well, that's a good goal.
That's doable.
Yeah, it's doable. I've set for the technology, I want at least 2,000 by the end of the year a day. Because I know on Reddit there's technology stuff and futurism stuff, it's just packed all day long. And there's other topics. You got the sports, and you can even break that down in many different ways. Photography. I mean, photography is just, if that's not prime for thousands upon thousands. I mean, again, you could basically use threads as Instagram, because don't forget, it's all tied into your account. And people can comment on your photo. You drop it in a threadcast. You go into the. It's not on your blog section. It's not on the main section of your threads. It's on the other one. You got to hit the parent, but you can see it all. It's all there.
Yeah, so not just doing the motivation on Monday.
No, I don't think it works once a week. It's because, first off, you're only trying to hit a small window. What if people aren't on Monday?
Right.
You don't see it till next Monday. This has to be done every day, in my opinion. That's what I'm doing with the technology. It has to be up there every day. It has to have the consistency. People need to know what it is, and you have to fill it, and you have to start building it, and you have to get creative with it. You have to promote it. You have to talk about it, and you have to try to get more people flowing in.
And the way to do that is doing it every day.
Yeah, do it every day. Get it up there. And plus, I'm a believer. I think the more threadscasts we have, the better it is. It's showing Cal that there's success here because people are putting it up every day. So yeah, do it again tomorrow. I'll dump a bunch of quotes in there,
Okay, sounds good.
bunch of videos from. I'll go scour YouTube. I mean, there could be politics. I mean, if somebody's a Biden lover, somebody's a Trump lover. Doesn't matter who you love. Do a threadcast on it. Fine, whatever. Memes.
Come on, everybody, jump on.
Lions aren't very good at action. They're big on talk, but they don't do much. But that's why some of them who are doing it, we need to try to support it. Get into the news one that Lucille's doing because she's been fairly consistent and went on to with her foodies. You know?
And Adam with his travel.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, we'll see where we can get to in the next week.
Sounds good. And
All
I'm
right.
sure you got work to catch up on because you were offline for a while, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I was away for a few hours anyway today because I had to go somewhere, and this was just adding to the nightmare.
Oh boy. All right. Well, you have a good night. Thanks for joining us tonight.
All right. Ciao.
Good night. Bye bye.